Now, the biggest issue looming over everything this year is the $3 billion budget deficit. That will impact everything from education to energy. This is the place to be in Salisbury if you've got sledding on the mind. As you can see, we've got a couple of families here taking advantage of all of this beautiful snow. About 10-15 minutes ago, there were more here. I have to say, though, there's less people here than I was expecting. I'll take an educated guess and say that's because we've got a lot of kids at home doing virtual learning today. Dreams of turning this dirt mining operation into a public park aren't completely dashed, but residents say they'll believe it when they see it. This equipment is lightweight and could mean the difference between life and death for federal forces on the front lines. Plus, it's coming from Pocomoke City. Students from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore will be right here working on planes just like this. Men in spacesuits inside doing what they can in order to reclaim these living spaces. Workers at the Sarbanes branch of the Wicomico County Public Libraries in downtown Salisbury walking into a mess this morning. I don't think there's many of us here in Salisbury who have been served food by a robot before. PJ's Coffee has been open for a few months, and Smoking Monster, that's where the robots are, they just held a soft opening last week. We saw some high temperatures today, and I hope you enjoyed it while it lasts, because expected thunderstorms could have us in the path of severe weather tonight. Abandoned shopping carts in Pocomoke City have been a growing problem, and officials are trying to figure out how to push them back where they belong. Yeah, a little bit of good news there. Although masks are no longer required, Tidal Health is still encouraging everyone to use their discretion when visiting its facilities. From Kent to Wicomico to Accomack County's 8th grade public school students gathered at the Wicomico Civic Center for Junior Achievement's Inspire Day. Backyard farming is booming, and baby chicks have become a hot commodity at the Mill of Salisbury. President Donald Trump is insistent that the United States will do whatever is necessary to obtain Greenland. He said nothing is off the table, including military force.
The budget is certainly the elephant in the room.
State lawmakers are trying to dig their way out of a $3 billion budget deficit. But big projects like the blueprint for Maryland's future education program are on the line.
It's simply unaffordable. If you can't pay for them, you are passing on an unfunded mandate to the taxpayers, to, in many cases, to the local governments and local school systems.
Republicans and Democrats from the Eastern Shore agree certain aspects of the $30 billion 10-year plan need to be rolled back.
Put a pause on it and make sure that we're still addressing the education needs of our citizens, but at the same time, let's not go bankrupt.
And as Maryland's bills balloon, so too is what lawmakers are calling an energy crisis. Some legislators suggest the state should not just lean into wind and solar.
We should look more at our nuclear energy capabilities, and we should look at clean natural gas.
Lawmakers from our side of the bridge are also working on local priorities. State Senator Mary Beth Carrozza says she has been working closely with Wicomico County Superintendent of Schools Dr. Micah Stauffer to make recommendations to the state on how to implement the blueprint locally.
Now that has come to a head with our budget crisis, so I believe now we'll be able to go back and look at some of these recommendations in a bipartisan way.
Delegate Cherie Sample Hughes, meanwhile, is working to remove a sunset date from a bill that connects rural communities with behavioral health resources and cuts through some of the red tape involved with insurance coverage.
If your healthcare provider has provided a treatment plan, then you should be able to complete that plan without having to go back and forth for authorizations and or incur additional thousands of dollars of expenses.
Looking ahead, lawmakers are hoping to hear more from constituents about their needs so they can address them.
I've always gone into every session with optimism because we have to, again, address the needs of our constituency.
If we do not protect and advocate for ourselves, who will? But I'm not going to change my point of view on this at all. This is Worcester County first, Worcester County always.
A tabled piece of emergency legislation has legal teams representing U.S. wind and property owners in the West Ocean City Commercial Maritime Harbor fired up for a court battle.
So it'll change the definition of commercial marine district, and it'll eliminate one of the 9 principal permitted uses, and in our opinion, it'll devalue their property, prevent them from having future uses.
Southern Connection Seafood, based in Crisfield and West Ocean City, employs about 40 people buying and selling seafood. Their attorney says if their deal to sell U.S. Wind 2 of their plots in the harbor is blocked by the emergency bill, it could tear down all that they've built up.
We hope that the county commissioners will not devalue the property and will allow my clients to protect their property interests, protect their family, and protect their business.
Attorneys representing U.S. Wind are also prepared to litigate, calling the emergency legislation unconstitutional.
U.S. Wind was authorized to do the project by the United States Congress going way back, and is still pursuing the job that it was hired to do.
County commissioners calling it an emotional subject and saying they would rather negotiate with the property owners themselves.
We don't have any idea what it's going to do to the fishery in our area. We don't know what it's going to do to our tourism, our marlin fishing tourism, our tuna fishing tourism.
It's just a unique place.
There's one way on and one way off of Smith Island. If you miss the ferry service running Monday through Saturday twice a day before noon, you're out of luck.
That makes it difficult for a lot of people, and we're not faulting the businesses, it's just we need some help.
That's why residents of the storied island are asking for help from the USDA, gathering at a roundtable discussion on Friday to generate fresh ideas.
We're looking for ways to supplement the existing businesses that are there, or if they're not interested, then a startup.
Doing an event like this also brings out other people we didn't know existed, people that had ideas who we hadn't heard from before. Things like this end up producing other ideas and solutions.
Another suggestion from Smith Island United, a group representing its residents, was to subsidize ferry operators through state or federal funding. But by far, one of the biggest complaints at Friday's meeting was that dredging isn't being done often enough, making it difficult for the ferries to navigate in the first place.
We have to get creative on how we meet their needs.
Islanders say they need this support now more than ever, as their little plot of land jutting from the Chesapeake's eroding waters is one in transition. Newcomers are increasingly calling the island home, growing the population. And it's important to support that community because what happens on Smith Island affects the mainland as well.
They're rebuilding. They spend their money in Crisfield on building materials. Contractors from Crisfield and other parts of the county are doing the work, so it benefits everybody.
And it is tough because nothing seems to be getting less expensive, so it's difficult all around.
Staying on top of your prescriptions is only getting more expensive.
Drugs don't work if people can't afford them.
So Maryland lawmakers are hoping to expand the state's Prescription Drug Affordability Board's authority to set caps on prices through new legislation.
They need more legislative authority to be able to make those high-cost drugs more affordable for everyone. And we will all benefit because our premiums, insurance premiums, are higher because the cost of drugs are so high for the insurance companies.
But local drugstore officials say that's only part of the fix. Zach Shear at Apple Discount Drugs in Fruitland believes pharmacy benefit manager rules around formularies or lists of drugs approved under insurance need adjustment as well.
Basically, they are the ones who determine what's on your formularies, how much those formularies are going to cost, how much you can get at a certain time, what's approved and not approved.
Plus, Shear said the high drug prices are also pushing up the cost of doing business.
We're a small independent business, and we're certainly not given any slack by wholesalers along the way. So everyone feels the pressure all around.
His advice, if you're struggling to afford prescriptions, ask your pharmacist for guidance.
I think there's a lot of information out there and there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it can be very overwhelming. So I encourage people to reach out to their pharmacist because, that's our job, is to look after you and all your medication and healthcare needs.
It's his time to shine for sure.
Across the nation, every community has its own way of ringing in the new year. And in Princess Anne, it's not a crystal ball that will descend to mark 2025's first day, but something weirder and way more wonderful.
Marshall Muskrat actually plummets from a 30-foot telescoping pole that was engineered by a NASA engineer. He is high above this building, Independence Hall, right here in Princess Anne, and at midnight, he comes down, which is spectacular. There's a confetti cannon, there are synchronized lights, there's a countdown clock. It's ridiculous and weird and very, very memorable.
This year, Marshall Muskrat's Midnight Dive will come complete with a downtown block party, live music, Smith Island cake and fresh oysters, and a sparkling cider toast at the strike of midnight. And new this year, local restaurants like Sisters with a Twist, Crapa Station, and Sugar Water are all getting in on the fun.
For our first year here, we can't wait. It's been absolutely amazing here in Princess Anne. We can't be happier, and we just can't wait to grow and grow even more every year.
And when he's not ushering in a new year, manager of Princess Anne Main Street, Carrie Samus, aka Marshall's Minder, brings the taxidermied critter all around the state, advocating for Eastern Shore culture. And with this big celebration ahead, Samus says that Marshall is ready for his close-up.
It definitely makes like top 10 lists all over the place nationally, and there have been a couple of international stories as well because it is absolutely quirky. I get occasionally a couple of calls from people who will say, like, is it a live muskrat? No, it's not a live muskrat. It's a taxidermied muskrat. He's very well cared for.